Hello. This is Jennifer Brown reporting live to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's about 4 o'clock Pacific time. Just read an article where CNN is once again attacking the Q movement. I'm going to give you a little inside story to CNN. Okay. The document that I find as the deep state's #1 playbook will probably later on, even though it's not mentioned in the Q movement right now, probably later on will be listed as probably the most important document in the history of the world. And the reason that I say that is because the NASA Future of War PDF, it's not a document, it's actually a PDF. #1 came out of Langley, #2 from the Science Division, NASA, and #4, the link is still on NASA's website today, but it's inoperable. Activists found the PDF, raised hell about it, and sent Deborah Tavares the cached link, and they, after NASA made the link inoperable, the activists were able to save the stuff before it was taken down. It was cached. So they sent Deborah Tavares, world-leading whistleblower of remote and covert technologies and soft kill systems. They sent what they had of the document to Deborah Tavares, which was all 113 slides. Okay. So there are 2 areas of human rights violations. One is the actual torture and mind control programs used from the babies on up to senior citizens. That's that side, with satanic ritual abuse and the kids down below, the 5 generations that we're saving. And the world elite involves Hollywood, Glassine Maxwell, Epstein Island, the world elite, everyone that was on the flight log with Lolita Express, which was the Epstein Island private jet, and all of the million pieces of evidence associated with satanic ritual abuse and human trafficking. That's one area. We're not going to be talking about that today. I'm talking about the militarized deployment systems from which the deep state had mentioned within the NASA Future of War PDF. Their play-by-play takedown of America within and the rest of wiping out the citizens around the globe. Now, I sent this document to a CIA operative. I'm not going to mention his name. I have before. Former CIA operative who is a constitutionalist. And I did this about 2 years ago. And I told him, I said, I've spent 4,000 hours on this document, and I can't debunk one sentence. You kick it around and see what you can do. But this is very disturbing enough in itself on the 98% that I can't debunk. If you can't debunk it, could you please pass this on to Washington? So, what I didn't realize was that we had already militarily had a plan to go down below in these underground, facilities where they're producing all of these special access projects to take we the people down. We had already militarily decided to go down in there with our brave constitutionalist men and women. Okay? So again, you can Google the NASA Future of War PDF, and I will tell you that their plans, the deep state's plans, have been thwarted. But the reason I wanted to go over this is because not only did it have the weaponry systems of what they wanted to kill you with, which is about 200 deployment systems, military grade. Anything from missiles to blowing up chemical plants to weaponizing your pets to weaponizing everything. They said everything will be weaponized, including the clothing on your back. Your food, your pharma, everything. But everything's going to be rolled out like a Trojan horse. But what I want to talk to you now, today, about what's significant about the NASA Future of War PDF is its statements, because there's 20 references or bullet points referencing this ideology. And that is how the mainstream media is under their complete control. They named, actually, in fact, CNN as being complicit in giving Deep State its cover in all these crimes against humanity once the military the rogue pay-to-play, the rogue separate division of our constitutionalist military, but the rogue breakaway cabal group, the Deep State group of those pay-to-play soldiers whom we're fighting right now down below, that decided to break away to work for the Deep State for 10 times their pay. So, outside of those deployment systems, they talked about other things, such as keeping you quarantined in your home, and by which you would not need to worry about shopping anymore or school anymore. It would all be done within the confines of your home. This is because they wanted to zap you with radiation, the 5G, all that, while you're at home, because your router, or not your router, but your smart meter on the house doubles all of that. Those devices, the appliances, the refrigerator, the router, the cell phones, and all that stuff, and you stand in the middle and you get the brunt of all that ionic plasma beam stuff, and it talking to one another. It's just, you take the brunt of it. And this is why the push of all these devices. You can find out about smart meters on Take Back Your Power. It's a documentary. So back to CNN. CNN, the founder of CNN, I'm going to give you a little history. The founder of CNN was Ted Turner. Now, Ted Turner is one of these who agrees with the NASA Future for PDF in so much that it is rumored that he is the backer of the monument that was placed in some man's old farm out in the middle of America that they built. I'm sure they paid the farmer quite nicely. Yeah. And it's in 8 languages, and it basically just says that we need to get rid of the human race down to 500 million worldwide. Now, to give you a little idea of what that means as far as who has to be killed or taken out, America has just a little over 300 million. You understand? This thing was written in 8 different languages, and it just says, you gotta go. And it's referenced back to Ted Turner. Now, why is this important? I'm going to leave you several references of why that's important by his own wording, so that you can't misconstrue what I'm telling you and say I'm just a tinfoil hat and I'm lying and blowing smoke up your ass. Yeah. I'm going to give you his own testimonies where he states that we're just too many people using too much stuff, and we're plundering Earth. We got to go. And that it would be ideal to reduce the populace down to 500 million or lower. Ideally, he said lower, to be able to sustain Earth. Okay? But what he doesn't tell you is that genocide was how they wanted to do this. So that's your founder of CNN, okay? And so now you guys are seeing his ideology / mixed with the ideology and the premise of the NASA Future for PDF, which clearly states your ass has got to be killed. But yet, and now you even know that CNN is a perpetrator of this premise and this ideology. I've gone over it, and so has Kevin Shipp many, many times, that there are contractual agreements with these certain people who are working with Deep State. And with that, I will add that there's extra pay-to-play money involved in this, which means if you want to get a fat little cushion as an anchorman, it is understood that you can get an extra stipend with your paycheck if you sign on the dotted line to work as a Deep State agent and making sure that the Americans get no word or no mention of any special access programs or projects which are to kill the human race on a volumetric level from 300 million on up. That has been deemed none of your fucking business. Also states in the NASA Future for PDF, going back to that CNN would be responsible in showing death and destruction of Americans live in color. That's like a real exciting thing for them, the Deep State. Such as the coronavirus, what's going on with the paramilitary, Antifa, and BLM. And we haven't even mentioned the Gestapo, 45-year-old Gestapo program that's been running out of the United States as well. It's called the Community-Based Agents, or CBA program in Europe. In this country, we call it, the targeted individuals refer to it as the gang stalking program. It's basically a program in by which it's boots on the ground, plain-clothed civilians who are harassing by military psychological, so-called military-style trained psychological operations. Enough, in fact, to where those people would suicide out. So they're experienced in group psychological operations, one-on-one psychological operations, and many times, because they are all contrived and manufactured situations that they're presenting in front of that targeted individual, many times they do hire crisis actors. They're looking for narcissistic people. They're looking for people anywhere from to join, anywhere from business people all the way down to even the homeless person. They're making these residents of our communities think that they're part of the FBI and they're special agents, and so everybody feels, that they're, doing the right thing. And sad part of it is most of them are given manufactured evidence. Most 99% of the time, either through video format or stamped, fabricated government documents stating that targeted individual is deemed a domestic terrorist under investigations, or they'll lie to these people that they're trying to hire for this contractual agreement. They'll lie to the residents of the community and throw on manufactured evidence, in by which they'll use character assassination, in by which they'll show government or state documents or citywide documents with fake manufactured seals and signatures and whatnot, that this person is a pedophile, she's being investigated, or he's being investigated for that. Or they'll say that the person is a drug addict selling drugs in the community. And they use groups like Neighborhood Watch, your residential neighborhood community watch programs, in by which to also lie to them and character assassinate that person. So if you're living in an apartment community or a home or whatever, the neighbors start to get involved in harassing the target as well. So it's very, very contrived, very organized. And I do believe that a lot of these Antifa agents came out of this first paramilitary group, which it is what it is. A paramilitary group is a group that is used as a underground black army or military to help assist a country who wants to genocide its own people. Now, news media is very important. Without the media, no one ever would be successful in a genocide attempt. It just wouldn't happen. Because the media has to be responsible. If you're on contract with Deep State in America, you have a clear, intentional intent understanding that your job is to do as you're told, push that 4 a.m. narrative that they receive at 4 a.m. That's the lies and manipulation of the people, and parrot that narrative as though it is true and factual news. When in fact, every day is just like turning up the heat a little bit more on that boiling frog to try to get you closer and closer to the final death situation. Bill Gates thought it was going to be disease X, but what we didn't know in 2012 that disease X was going to be coronavirus. The NASA Future Forward talks about all the bioweapons that they would like to use on your ass. Okay? Also talks about financial ruin, how they want to implode and ruin the financial economy of the world, and things of that nature. So here you have a founder that created CNN who wants you dead, who is working with a deep state puppets, and who's pumping out the news for the United States. And we, the people, are supposed to believe that he and CNN have our best interest at heart? Raise your hand if you fucking got a problem with that shit. Now, I want you to look below in the comment section, and I'm going to give you the comments over there of what his true premise and ideology is. And then along with that, because of another guy who's just as much as a deceiving apparatus as Ted Turner, I'm going to give you Bill Gates and his testimonies on how he wants you dead and ideas that he has to have you dead. I'm also going to put in possibly some stuff about Georgia Guidestones. Now, a lot of videos, you're going to hear them say that they do not know who's behind it. That's a lie. Ted Turner's behind it. He's the one that's behind those Georgia Guidestones. So people like Ted Turner, who doesn't own CNN anymore, but it's irrelevant because its ideals and its premise passed along to the new guy who took over. That is quite obvious. This is why CNN, MSN, and other deep state players such as New York Times and Washington Post, BBC News, NPR, many of these factions, most of all news outlets, let's just be clear, most all news outlets are required or have anchormen who have signed on to deep state contracts. This would be the reason why 100 of the reporters right now to date, as it stands, have indictments on them as we speak. Now let's talk about an indictment. You think that an indictment has to do with, a blog, a lie, a bunch of, fluff BS. No, you would be wrong. An indictment are evidentiary things or discovery of proof and fact, of case and points of why they feel that you are a person of interest. Now, when you're a person of interest today and working with deep state, your ass will be shipped up to Guantanamo Bay at the Nuremberg-style type, like military tribunals that has been going on. Let me repeat that one more time. That has been going on. Let me take you to church and explain that and break it down for you one more time. That has been going on. Trials have been going on for 2 years. So, most of the deep state factions have already been tried and executed and or sentenced to prison for life. What you think you see is not what you are actually seeing in reality. So when the lists are being placed out there stating that the arrest of this person, that person, or the execution of this person, that person is happening, and you go, oh, no, that's simply not true. I just saw him today. Or they just tweeted on Facebook. Our NSA can take over an NSA or hack that any account in any minute and deceive the people. Or our white hats could deceive the people in letting you think that this person is alive when they're not. When you look at Michael Jackson dancing around all over the stage in a hologram format, don't tell me that we can't use that in any given situation on any video format that the white hats might want to contrive to make you think these people are still alive. So why are you lying to us and making us think that these people are still alive? Well, the true fact is because you have viewed CNN as the person that the corporate news that you love and trust and covet, and will only listen to that type of styled, controlled media, or MSN, New York Times, and Washington Post, the deep state puppets who all want you dead. Since you've loathed and just refused to look at any other information other than the ones who want to kill you and have you dead and blow smoke up your ass and lie to you every day, since you refuse to come out of your rock and understand that you are in bed with the enemy and in love with the enemy or your abuser, we know that if we told you the truth, that you would be in the streets with pitchforks and guns and starting a revolution tomorrow, because you are inept to believe anything other than your fake media. And therefore it leaves you inept to do any research, because you feel that your information is so solid with them, the deceivers of you and the ones who want you dead and are working hard, tirelessly, and getting paid to help take you down. Your beloved, the ones that you refuse to pull away from, your loved, beloved media who want you dead as of yesterday, or helping to, with full intent to make sure that they're working with your deep state, the deep state to take you out. And because you only will accept to be spoon-fed by them and absolutely refuse to research whether what they're telling you is true or not. You're taking everything that they say, every line that they say is true. Okay? And that is, also goes along with talk shows, in the morning talk shows, your news magazines that you're buying, any Democratic news outlet in press, radio, print, or film. Basically, you need to be setting to the side. You need to find a trusted source of intelligence, coming from a trusted source of intelligence, coming from that and or military. And if you're not listening to that, the ones who are taking the deep state down, then you are going to be at a loss, and you're going to be getting deceived information, contrived, manipulative, deceitful information. You need to stick with people on the inside, okay? Reporters love the inside scoop. Reporters, investigative journalists, love to get the Holy Grail. That's someone who's working on the inside, actually has inside intel. This is why we love our whistleblowers so much, because they are telling us the crimes and the corruption and the horrible acts that are happening on the inside of the factions that they work for, whether it be politics, within politics, or within the military, rogue factions, or anything going on in the military. Whistleblowers, we have them there. We have whistleblowers from within the corporations that have signed on to these contractual agreements. We have people inside the intelligence agencies that are whistleblowing. Quite frankly, if you're going to trust someone, I would say to go with those people that whistle blew so much that their lives were actually in danger. A deep state agent will never, ever, ever have his life threatened or in danger. He just won't. Okay? Now, will he lie and deceive you and make you think that? Maybe. But one thing he'll never, never do is attack CNN, MSN, Washington Post, New York Times. He'll never, ever, ever say anything positive about President Trump or any of his policies. They will never, ever, ever, ever expose a kill system that is to take you down, okay? They'll never expose Antifa, they'll never expose Black Lives Matter or any other paramilitary group because they are simply not allowed to. If they do, a file will be manufactured and that person will be in prison on a manufactured file, and or they'll be assassinated. These contractual agreements come along with, after you sign, with full-blown mind control through psychotronic warfare. That's the new term for it, psychotronic warfare. And that deployment, there's two that they're using right now. One is voice to skull. That's what they use with targeted individuals whom they're torturing to death. And the other deployment is called Manchurian Candidate. That's the oldest deployment that they've been able to work with for over 50 years. So it's very advanced now. What you remember seeing are plugs from a machine to a person laying in a chair to the brain and just testing it out. We're way above that, guys. The new scientific division of mind control is called, oh my God, the American it's called the Aquarius Group Project. Again, the scientific division ahead of all major mind control operations today is called the Aquarius Group Program. All right? So, after seeing the testimonies of Ted Turner below and Bill Gates and how he wants you dead, if you still after today listen to any print, press, radio, or film from MSN or CNN, these are groups that are on contracts with the deep state who wants you dead. So if you're going to be the idiot and continue to be the mouthpiece of the deep state, then that's on you. If after the worldwide awakening and you still spewing that conspiracy theorist bullcrap or those narratives that they pitch, because when we had the Great Awakening, when we shut all your televisions down, at that same time we're going to be doing two things: the global reset, and we're going to be that's my theory, okay? Because we have to shut down the internet more than just an hour to do the reset. So this 10 days of darkness would be the perfect time to do that global reset. And we know it's coming. It's right around the corner. And we've already taken down the Federal Reserve. President Trump is head of the Federal Reserve right now. So, and they're getting ready to go down and take the IRS down too. So we've just had it. We're tired of getting raped every which way to Christmas here in America. And these central banks being used to launder money and hide crimes against humanity. Screw that. Okay? We're just tired of it. And I agree with Robert David Steele, as former CIA. We need to shut them all down around the world. I couldn't agree with him more. Because they're just helping and aiding with money laundering systems. I will tell you that all the money that's been laundered, we have every single account, every single little bank, internationally. And if it was one person and he transferred his name of that bank account to 20 different people, we have not only all those alias names, but who the actual bank account was under. We have everything, guys. We have all the accounts. And during this financial reset, all those monies are going to be seized, okay, along with the rest of those people beforehand. But when we do the financial reset, all that money is going right back into the United States. Anyone who's being arrested right now, from Glassine Maxwell to Epstein Island, and the million pieces of evidence of everybody ratting everybody out. And let me tell you, Epstein is alive. He's not at Gitmo, but he's in another offshore prison. And he has squealed and named names to a magnitude you can't even imagine. We have 1 million pieces of evidence, okay? Now Glassine Maxwell's getting ready to sing like a bird as well, okay? And all the other people up at the top have already done it. George W. Bush, the young Bush, he ratted out everybody. His whole family's gone, including Mama. You guys, they're not playing. The Queen of England is involved in pedophilia and crimes against humanity, as is her son, Prince Andrew. That's on Australia 60 Minutes. Okay, Prince Andrew, gone. Prince Charles gone for hiring that assassination on Princess Di, who I might add is in witness protection right now. We have 8 different apparatuses of intelligence above the CIA and FBI. These are where our news of the Q movement is coming out of. Now, we can't give everything away because it would be illegal. So there are codes and things of that sort in the Q drops that get people to research and look up. We give little hints about the operations that's going down. Sometimes and many times, we have given those operations out 2 years in advance. Why? Because they have every single operation precisely down to the minute, second, and hour that operation of extraction or arrest is going to be going down, or court proceedings, etc., 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 and or military tribunal proceedings. Do you understand? So this has been in the works with these 8 apparatuses and our top military brass for quite some time. So this is our 8th attempt in taking down the deep state. But the biggest enemy of the people that are putting you in harm's way every single day, whom you have coveted, whom you deem as your best friend, whom you deem as the only place and the only source to get your information, is your lying media, who is, excuse me, I'm going to say paramilitary, because anybody that's involved with taking down the citizens of the United States and doing it with full intent and money, I would consider that as a paramilitary group. But I would be wrong in stating that, because it's more, they're calling, white hats are calling Antifa paramilitary. The government has deemed them as a terrorist group. Black Lives Matter is the same thing. And they are getting, and I believe that both of those factions, because they're the newest, I believe both of those factions have actors, crisis actors in there. And the main place of crisis actors that they hire from is that community gang stalking Gestapo program that we have had in our society in America for the last 45 years. Secrecy has been key, and the reason that you don't know about these things is simply because mainstream media has been paid to stand down and not let you know of anything. So that when you hear it, You've been programmed by your media to say that there are crazies coming out of the woodwork and the tinfoil hats are coming out, when the fact of the matter is the largest group in America that are tinfoil hats spreading misinformation and being the actual mouthpiece of the deep state is the majority of the citizens itself, who are following the news media conglomerates, in by which they're doing so through radio, press, print, and film. Commercials are being used in the same way. Foundations are spreading the rhetoric in the same way. Campaign foundation drives for money are doing the same thing. Their pitches are all contrived to be that of deep state, blowing smoke right up your butt, telling you one thing when they're actually doing something else. American Red Cross is another one. They've snowed you and you guys believe in them so wholeheartedly, but yet they were being used in Haiti to actually grab the children, which they said they were saving, and they gave them right into the human trafficking rings, and they were sent down below. Because these kids, these 5 generation of kids that are being raped, killed, pillaged, and used for satanic ritual abuse and sold on the black market, is one of the ways that they funnel the operations of the special access programs, which had been formulated and discovered and built and birthed in the underground bunkers, where our brave constitutionalist men and women are fighting right now internationally and trying to save the human race. So anybody after today that continues to follow the mainstream media, I'm just saying, after the information that I'm giving you right now, you are no longer in line with defending against all enemies, foreign, domestic. You are in line with the deep state. Therefore, I would consider you an enemy of the people and a mouthpiece, and in bed with the enemy of the people. It's time to wake up. The times of wine and roses is over. You need to come out from underneath the rock. You really do, because I'm going to tell you something about your beloved anchor and your beloved show, your beloved news magazines, newspapers, and your news talk show host, and your news nightly news, and your afternoon news, and your lunch news. That is all contrived deep state rhetoric, blowing smoke up your ass. And if you continue to parrot deep state stuff, you're going to be sadly mistaken. And if you continue this love affair with the deep state and its media, you're going to be sadly you're going to be real sad in the future, because your media is going to be taken down. All of it. You guys, they won't survive. Do you understand? It's treason what these people are doing. It is accessory to murder. And in fact, millions around the world in the last 50 years have died because of their complicity in working with the deep state. Kennedy tried to tell you through his secret society's monolithic press speech. He was pleading with the military, not the military, but the media then, because he knew of some of these operations that they were using to take us down within, and how the media was complicit and snowballing your ass to make sure that they set you up to be sitting ducks. There was one thing that Kennedy and I realized, and that is that no genocide can be successful without media involvement. Never in the history of the world has it ever happened without media involvement. You need to pick sides. Are you going to continue to be the mouthpiece of the deep state? Of CNN, MSN, Washington Times, New York Post, BBC, NPR, PBS, Amazon, Yahoo, News? Are you Times Magazine? Are you guys going to continue to be the mouthpiece of the deep state and continue to spread the misinformation Or are you going to choose sides and come across and follow the Q movement? You need to follow the information, the intel that's coming out of the White Hats, because I have to tell you now, we may not have ever had a stronghold this time, but or in the past, but we definitely do this time. White Hats is your winning team. If you want freedom, if you want your family to live, if you don't want to be poisoned anymore and have all these weapons, and you want all these weapons taken down and want to be with the side that's taken down all these weapons of deployment, then you need to start following the apparatus from which, or the intel that's helping you and your families to prosper and live. And that is the Q movement. So when rogue FBI, just like we have good and bad factions all throughout our intelligence apparatus, for you to think that the FBI, who said that the Q movement was a terrorist group, if you were to think that, then you are sadly mistaken. What they want to do is blow smoke up your ass and keep you as far away from the Q movement as possible, because the Q movement is the actual people coming straight out of intelligence. They don't want you to hear the truth. If you hear the truth, then your ass is no longer a sitting duck, easy prey. They need 99% of the Americans, or 98% rather, to be sitting ducks. They don't want you to know the truth, because once you know the truth, you will demand policy change. You will demand your rights back. You will demand no longer to be quarantined in your homes and wear face masks, which make your situation worse in your upper respiratory and breathing. You will demand to be told the truth and not lies about COVID. You see? So, the choice for now is yours. But once the Great Awakening happens, through social engineering, you will be forced into knowing and understanding the truth. Because if you keep parroting bullshit from the CIA-controlled media and its rhetoric and its deceit, you will be ostracized. You will be the 1% now that will be made fun of and character assassinated, and have a hard way at getting work and employment and having social graces within your communities. So it's about to do a flip, folks. And many of you are going to hold on to your beloved media and its rhetoric. And I'm telling you right now, that would be nothing but doing a character assassination hit on yourself. Because as more and more people wake up and find out that during the all the information that we're going to give to you during the 10 days of darkness is true, it's going to be harder for you to be the deep state mouthpiece, especially when they're going to all be taken down. The people, the majority, will view you yourself, a citizen, as enemy of the people. And you will be called a conspiracy theorist. And all that pain and anguish that you gave all the activists and all the people before you during the time of which your dinosaur media was open and operational and blowing smoke up everybody's ass around America, once you decide to side with them and never want to accept the truth, you're going to be getting much of that treatment that you dished out to the truthers, which is going to be verbal abuse, verbal attacks, character assassination, and you're going to be ostracized a tinfoil hat. And because that's exactly what you are right now. And I know you don't want to be that way. Many of you have PhDs, degrees, and oh my goodness, you just think you're all that in a bag of chips, but you have been profoundly deceived. And I understand it. I get it. So what? It's a name that you love and trust and that your parents and that you grew up with. Okay? It has been compromised. It's been compromised as of since Kennedy's speech about the press. Okay? You need to start facing reality now, don't you think? So one of the good sources of news media that I follow is X22 Report on YouTube. Why don't you start there? It's free and it airs every night. Now the first report is a financial report. He gets that off about 12 noon. The second report from X22 Report is the media and what's going on in the news. Okay? It's not the media, but it's your news report, okay? Coming out of intelligence, which is the Q movement. All right? You have to go back to your college days, all right? We have a lot of smart people in America, but when you wrote your college papers in school, you could not write anything without sourcing out the source from which you got the information. And it had to be a valid source. Your fact check sites are also pay to play. Do not go to your fact check sites. All news media has about 20 of them. This is to help spread the misinformation and the CIA narrative so that you will be a parrot for the deep state and helping deceive everyone. So again, do not go to fact check sites. Your best news source right now is X22 Report. From there, he will give you some people that you can follow from their Twitter page. Twitter is the main base from which the QAnon movement is doing its spreading of the truth. Okay? This is history in the making. There's going to be books and people and lists and statues and all kinds of things. Because we are history in the making right now. Now you can either come on board and become a QAnon, take your oath of service, and start helping us to spread the truth, or you can be where you're at now, known as the spreader or the informant for the deep state, in by which you're parroting their narrative by your CIA, rogue CIA controlled, contrived media and compromised media. So, choice is yours for now, but after the 10 days of darkness, the decision is going to be very clear for you at that point. Okay? Because as the world awakens, as they realize that they were the conspiracy, the big fat elephant in the room, spreading misinformation and putting their people in harm's way and mouthpieces of the deep state, many of them are not going to want to be that person. Okay? So, it's time to wake up. It's time to know the truth. It's time to protect you and your family unit at all cost. Don't you think? All right. Thank you again. Take care of you.